Welcome, Kim.
Hi, thanks.
How are you? Nice to see you.
Thanks.
So this is Conversations from the Couch, or Couch Talk. So how's things been going for you?
Good.
Yeah?
I've been in a bit of a transition period over the last 6 months.
Yep.
And things are settling in nicely.
Which is good.
Yeah.
And everyone's had a bit of a transition, haven't they? The involuntary transition.
Yeah, I suppose.
Okay, I've got a few questions here, so if you don't mind me just going through them and
Sure.
see what comes out. Okay, so what is your background? I mean, we've heard your name being thrown around BREC, but because there's always so much stuff going on at BREC, you sort of get snippets of different projects that are happening. So your name being Kim Crotty, I have heard it quite a bit. So I'm really excited really today to hear what you, what is your story? What is your background?
In terms of
Have you always worked in the arts? Yeah.
No.
Right.
I have a blue collar background. I have a labouring background. I've worked every sort of crap job from the Wheat Belt to West London.
Yeah.
And I suppose, along the way, I played a lot of music.
So
guitarist and singer-songwriter,
Okay.
and so I had some limited stage experience like
Yeah.
that, which kind of, once I moved to London, led me into stage crew work for live music events, which then opened the door for me to work as backstage in theatre.
Okay.
And when I first came into theatre, it was a wonderful experience because I really felt like I was home. And it was an amazing crew. And It's been an amazing. I worked in theatre in the UK for about 6 years. I was the head of the stage department at Salisbury Playhouse for 3.5 of those, or 3 of those.
So born in the Wheat Belt, Kim?
Yes.
Down here, down this way?
Yep.
Okay, so why London? Because of the music scene, or just because there was a change?
Yes, and so backpacking with my girlfriend.
Beautiful.
With whom we had 2 children and got married.
Oh, nice. In London, you got married here in Australia?
Yes, no, we got married.
Okay, so she was an Australian girl. Okay, decided to live there. All right, fantastic. So it's a hard time at the moment as well with what's been going on in the arts and with the COVID. Have you got any projects in the development or any new ideas that are brewing for you?
Yes.
Yes.
I've been I've had my head down the last few months writing a project, trying to produce material, hopefully, for other wonderful people to work their magic with. So it's been
Can you tell us about that material?
It's autobiographical. It covers basically a 2-year period of my life. It's probably two of the darkest. Some of the darkest periods of my life. With far-reaching ramifications, not just for myself, but for my children as well, and for my wife. Who's no longer my wife. So it's like
Past wife?
a lot happened. Oh no, she.
No, past life. That was just a bit of tongue-in-cheek joke. Past life.
And anyway, so
So we're looking at 2 years that were
about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Sort of just really was a massive upheaval.
Yeah.
Not just my life.
No.
Lots of others.
Well, and that makes sense when there's a massive upheaval. It seems to have ramifications that can affect those loved ones around us. And hopefully it's interesting, I was talking the other day about it, and it's like, you just hope that when these upheavals do happen, we find purpose in them or meaning in them. And somehow there's healing around that meaning, if we can find something in that.
I mean, it's often the case, in real life experiences that we don't have that time or distance to separate ourselves from the events and those experiences. It's difficult to tell what they mean. It's difficult to know what to take away from it, how it influences you, and what outcomes can it have in your life. Because you're in the middle of it.
Absolutely.
And so now 10 years have passed since those events, and it sort of makes a bit more sense now than it did then.
Patience. Yes, indeed. It's like, yeah, you're right, and you know, in the world that we live in as well, there's an urgency around getting on with it.
Yep.
You know? So when you do have those profound experiences, you can't sit in it for long, can you? Because life demands that you continue.
Yeah.
You still get up every day at the same time, and you still have your commitments. So,
Yep.
yeah, that's good. That's interesting. Okay, so let's talk about BREC for a minute. I'm very interested in your life though, but I'll just talk about BREC as well, because that's a fantastic place we've got. What role do you think BREC plays in our community? What do the performing arts offer?
Well, I don't live in Bunbury,
Yeah.
so BREC for me represents, you know, something quite special. It's a special occasion. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
But what I think is amazing about BREC is that it's not monolithic in what's available and to whom it's available. So, for example, you know, BREC for me, you know, I can go on a date to see a show at BREC, or my 11-year-old son was involved in the Young Voices project, and my lovely mother got to tick Phantom of the Opera off her bucket list.
Yeah, okay.
And she still talks about it. You know, it's coming up for 2 years.
Oh, gorgeous.
She still talks about it.
So something to...
And so you know, within our family, that's 3 generations, 3 different experiences going there for 3 different reasons. And I'm not sure there are any other venues sort of are even capable of appealing to lots of different people with different things.
Yeah, so everyone takes something with them.
Yeah,
it's different.
And I think that's what the arts does. Yeah. You know, it's not a lot of other venues or even live performances appeal to only a narrow demographic, whereas a venue like BREC is much wider. It appeals to, you know, offers a multitude of experiences for all kinds of different people. And I think, you know, one of the things that, to come back to what we were talking about before about real life experiences that we're caught up in, that we're actually part of, we only get a first person point of view. And we never get the opportunity to step outside or step back from our own narrative. But a theatre performance or some kind of live performance gives us, I think, an opportunity to observe a narrative in its entirety as it unfolds on the stage, as it's presented to you. And you can take away something from it. That even if, so for example, if you had lived a particular experience, you would only see it from one point of view. If you see it presented in an artistic form, you can see much more of that exact same experience because you're getting an overview you wouldn't have otherwise got.
Different perspectives. Yeah, it's great. Good. So memorable responses that you've had with your work.
Well,
is there so much?
No, but you know, my memorable, you know, most of my work, you know, I've had limited exposure. I write for my children and I write for some of my friends, and that's about it.
Okay, so
memorable responses for me situations where like
squealing.
Yeah, oh my god, that's hilarious. Or you know, writing little stories for my kids when they're challenged by it, they're confronted, like, what does this mean, Dad? Why did this person do that? What happened? And I think, you know, the best response for me from my kids and from other people that I've shared my work with is this kind of reciprocal inspiration. I don't think there's anything better than inspiring someone else to go, oh wow, I've seen something that I hadn't been previously aware of. I didn't know that you could do that. I want to try that. And I think that's fantastic. I think that's amazing.
It is amazing, and I'm curious. So your story writing, you said it was based around the 2-year period that was quite tumultuous in your life. But when you write these stories for your children, is this based on these experiences? Is this based on their experiences? When you write for them or to them, What is that about? Are you right? Are you?
I mean, so you know, in the production that's in development at the moment, you know, I wrote stories for my children when I was absent, I was away from them.
Yep.
I wrote for them, and it was a means of communicating and connecting with them, because all other methods of you know, trying to communicate with my kids were heartbreakingly ineffective. And it seemed the only way to bridge the time and the distance that divided us was these little invitations into a narrative world. So I had no real power in my real world, but in a fictional world, I can move mountains, I can do anything. And I can create these scenarios where I'm basically telling my children that I love them in 1,000 different ways, from 1,000 miles away.
I remember when I first met you, and I've only met you a couple of times. We had a function at BREC, and you were standing at the bar with a couple of people, and I went, "Oh, I like that suit." I think it was purple or something, or maroon. There was some sensational colour that stood out to me. And Michelle, our beautiful lady of the silk, introduced me to you.
Yep.
And you said that you were living in Manjimup, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Why Manjimup?" And you said, "Because that's where my children are." And I went, "Oh my God." Man after my own heart. That's beautiful, and that really stood out. There's a good man, there's a good human being. And you've mentioned that a few times. And
yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't know, it's central to...
Yeah, it's validation of your existence, perhaps.
I think that's a lot to put on children, you know. They're central to my identity, central to my world.
Yes.
The world that I tried to create for myself. I've made them central to it.
Beautiful. And what a gift.
For me, yeah.
It's really,
no, it's really, well, I don't, it could be.
The double-edged sword.
I think, you know, as myself and my kids get older, you know, they get cooler and I get less. So. My kids used to go, "Dad, I remember when you used to be cool."
No, say, "I am, you're changing." I've slowed down. The best piece of advice you've been given as an artist?
I have basically the same advice from two different sources. Firstly, from university lecturers and teachers and writers, and from some wonderful people at BREC, and the mentors at the Donnelly River Artist Residency, and the central theme of which was permission. Give yourself that permission to try. Give yourself permission to get it wrong.
Yeah.
Give yourself permission to make a mess.
Yeah.
And then, of course, permission to knock it all over and start again. And to because there's no other way to create anything.
Sure.
Whether it be painting or sculpture or narrative fiction or a play.
Or life itself.
Yeah. You have to give yourself that permission to experiment, to try, to see what works. Because it's only once you realise what doesn't work that you get closer to understanding what does.
So we need to change that word fail.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of
few connotations around that word that
definitely.
It's blessing in disguise, perhaps.
Well, mine have been. I was like, this is. Okay, I can't believe I'm moving to this, but I actually have a superhero alter ego. My kids think this is hilarious. Famous the world over. I'm Crumpled Man because of my very public and spectacular failures. Usually involving sort of some kind of physical damage.
Okay.
And this idea of failure. And so far, I can't think of a single failure that wasn't for me fortunate. That hasn't.
That's
worked out.
fantastic. So not only do you receive advice, you give advice. That's good. I like it. So your inability to crumble or to crumple, perhaps.
Yeah, that ability to crumble.
Yeah. Great. Thank you for for talking to us today.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.